and welcome. Today I am going to play Advanced Squad Leader, and this is going to be yet another part of my series where I am going to show you the basics of this amazing tactical wargame system. Today I am going to play Friday the 13th. This is a scenario coming from Advanced Squad Leader Journal, issue number 3. It was released many years ago, but you can get it and find it via internet, I think as a PDF as well. So it shouldn't be a big deal to find this journal, and I can recommend you Advanced Squad Leader journals, especially this earlier edition, because they have a lot of great articles and a lot of great scenarios that you can find very useful. And what is pretty good, they don't require a lot of additional stuff. I mean, later Advanced Squad Leader journals might need a lot of stuff from certain modules, but these earlier journals usually just require Beyond Valor, sometimes Yanks, and so. But these are modules that are pretty easy to handle. Sometimes they require modules that are, well, kinda hard to get, sometimes very expensive, and so on. But these first issues are must-have if you wanna to go deeper into Advanced Squad Leader. So we are going to fight in East Prussia at October 1944. And this already tells us something about rules. Yes, this is Advanced Squad Leader, so everything has its rule. First, since it is October, then we know that if we have any grain on the board, then it is not in the season. So all these hexes are essentially clear terrain. Next, since it is 1944, then Germans are allowed to use Panzerfaust. There are no enemy armored fighting vehicles on the other side, so these are not going to be something very useful, but this is something we should remember about. And in this scenario we are going to learn some new rules, especially about fortifications, because we are going to use foxholes, barbed wire, and maybe some new kind of terrain as well. So let's start with a board, because I think that this is a good thing to start. This is board 17, and what we have here, mostly terrain we already know, like the woods, hedges, walls, single-story building, two-story building, stone building, wood building. Like I said, we don't use grain here because it is not in the season. I am not sure if I talked about brush. Brush is essentially a hindrance. This is not an obstacle, but it costs you 2 movement points to enter brush with your infantry and tracked vehicles. So yeah, we have only tracked vehicles in this scenario. And if it's ground snow, then it is treated like a clear terrain. But snow is a far more complicated rule that we are going to cover someday. Next we have ponds. Ponds are probably the smallest water obstacle we can meet in this game, and ponds are literally not an obstacle, not a hindrance. They are not blocking your line of sight, but they can be an issue if you want to enter. Because if you want to enter an obstacle, a pond, you have to spend all your movement points, all your movement factor to enter such a hex. And you cannot enter a pond during the advance phase. Vehicles cannot get here normally, so they can be a problem. Luckily, there are only 2 ponds on the entire board, and they are not in any important areas. And I think that's the most of the new stuff on the board. I'm not sure if I talked about orchards before, so let's talk about them now. First of all, orchard, just like grain, is kinda depending on the season. From April since October it is in season, while in the other months it is not in season. In both situations, orchard is a hindrance. It is not blocking your line of sight, but it provides +1 hindrance for any line of sight traced through this hex. And this is pretty important, because even if you would be here and your enemy would be there, and your line of sight in theory would run between these markings, then you would still get a +1 +2 hindrance, because every line of sight traced through the orchard hex is hindered. So this is pretty important to remember. As for differences between being in season and not in season, orchard is considered one level obstacle to any line of sight from higher elevation. So if you would be on the level 2 of this building, then this orchard would provide you an obstacle, not a hindrance. If you are on the level 1, then this is just a hindrance. Finally, orchard has no TAM. It has no additional modifiers for your movement, but this is not a clear terrain. And if you are routing, you can always use an orchard as a protection to not be forced to make an interdiction roll. We have a lot of burnable terrain on this board. Grain, brush, woods, orchard, wood building, all of them are easy to spread fire. But I have bad news when it comes to this, because special rules say environmental conditions are moist, with no wind at start. Kindling is non-available. This means we won't be able playing with fire in this scenario. Okay, I think we will return to the fire stuff in some of the other scenarios, because there is a lot of talking about kindling in this game as well. But not today. Alright, so that's all when it comes to the board, and let's go to the new stuff we are going to have in this scenario. Let's start with a wire. We have 2 wire counters in this scenario, and a player who starts with a wire might place it anywhere on the board, safe to the certain locations like building, rubble, sewers, marsh or water obstacle, unless frozen. So we can place it on many places. You can place only 1 wire per location, and wire provides no hindrance and no TAM. Mostly, wire is a problem when you are trying to move through it. A unit can be, let's say it is here, can be on the wire, under the wire. And this makes things different. As long as unit is on the wire, it is assumed that they are trying to move through this wire, and it provides them some difficulties. As long as they are on the wire, they get +1 DRM to any attack and close combat, and if there is artillery unit on the wire, then it gets +1 to hit DRM. Infantry on wire must deduct 1 from any close combat attack against it. So this is one of the biggest problems with wire. If you are trying to get through this wire, all your attacks are weaker. But that's not the problem. The biggest problem is if you want to move through the wire. Entering the wire hex results with no additional movement points to spend, save to the normal cost of terrain. But now you are on the wire, and before you will be able to move anywhere, you have to move under the wire first. And that's where the problem starts. When you are when you are entering a wire hex, you have to make 1d6 roll. For example, I rolled 4. And now this is a number of movement factor you have to spend to went under the wire. So it is very random. You might get 1 and move swiftly under the wire and then anywhere you want. But if you get a number which is higher than your already available movement factor, then you cannot move any further. You just stay here and wait. This means that your soldiers are trying to move through this wire, but they met some problems and they cannot move it quickly. You cannot dash through the wire. You cannot double time through the wire. So, and if you are, you can use double time if you declare it before. For example, if you are starting your movement here and you declare that you are using double time, then you can go and move to the wire. But if you are already on the wire hex, you made a roll, and now you want to declare double time to get 1 additional movement factor, no, this is not allowed. You cannot use minimum movement to move through the wire, and you cannot do it during the advance phase. Yes, I guess some of you already had an idea that it would make sense to use advance phase to move through this wire, but now you cannot do it. Also, if you are routing, you still have to do this stuff. So, for example, if let's assume that this unit is broken, they want to move onto this hex, and now they have to undergo all this moving to the wire procedure again. So this can be a problem also. If you are in the vehicle, well, you have a better chance to move through the wire, because all the fully tracked vehicles are moving through the wire with 2 movement points, and they have to undergo a box check if they see if they haven't any issues while moving through the wire. But cavalry, motorcycles, or any horse-drawn vehicles cannot enter a hex with a wire. I guess that some of you might think of just bypassing this shit, but no, bypass is impossible on the hex with wire. So you may ask, how to get rid of it? The easiest way is to use your tracked vehicle. If you have any tracked vehicle, it may just move on the hex with wire. It does not undergo all this process of moving through and so, and it has to pass its box check. If it passes, then goodbye wire. This is the easy way. A harder way, when you don't have any vehicles around, is to clear the wire. It is possible. If your unit moved through the wire, you can declare that it's going to clear this wire at the beginning of your movement phase. If your unit is not already marked as prep fire and it wasn't moving, you can mark it with task check counter, and then at the end of the close combat phase, you can see it is red, and when the counter is red, then it has to stay on the board till the end of the close combat phase. Now you have to make a clearance roll. If you will get a result which is 2 or less, then this wire is out of the board. But it is not a very easy thing to do, so it is better to use your vehicles, unless you have them, of course. So that's all when it comes to the wires. We have only 2 wires in this scenario, so they might be not a very big problem for us, but there are scenarios where there is much more of them, and where they can be a much bigger problem than today. And next we have Foxholes. How the popular song says, what do the fox say? There are three possible types of foxholes. Let me think, I need one more. Of course, I have two. Well, I think this will be enough. And the difference is how many squads can be in. There are foxholes for one squad, there are foxholes for 2 squads, and there are foxholes for 3 squads. The choice is yours. Setup tells you how many one squad foxholes you get, but you can change it. For example, you can get 2 foxholes with 1 squad and 1 foxhole with 2 squads. Or you can get 2 foxholes with 2 squads. Also, you can get one foxhole for 3 squads and one foxhole for 1 squad. Foxholes can be placed anywhere, save to the certain kinds of terrain like paved, sunken or elevated road, bridge, runway, marsh, creek, stream, water obstacle, rubble or building. So there is a lot of place for us on this board to place foxhole. Just like a wire, it is pretty important if unit is beneath the foxhole or on the foxhole. Only units that are beneath the foxholes, for example, like here, can use benefits of being in a foxhole. If unit is on the foxhole, then it is just like being on the terrain the foxhole is. Only infantry units can be in foxhole. You cannot put your vehicles inside the foxhole, and as for artillery, you can only place mortar inside the foxhole. All the other kind of guns cannot fit inside. There are 2 ways to gain a foxhole. First, via setup, just like here, we are starting with 4 foxholes for Soviets. You can always create your own foxhole in the suitable terrain, and you will do entrenchment attempt. To do entrenchment attempt, you have to not act in your face and to make a roll with a final result 5 or less. If you will do it, you can create a foxhole and put your unit inside. If you fail, you have to mark your unit with a labor marker, and till the end of such turn it is marked with task check counter. And finally, how they work. They provide 2 modifiers. First, for every overrun and fire from OBA, it provides +4 TAM. For any kind of other enemy attack, it provides +2 TAM. So, it is pretty good if you know that enemy has some vehicles and he's about to try overrun you, or you know that he has OBA, because you have +4 TAM, which is pretty impressive. For any other kind, it is +2. Not as good as stone building, but still better than, for example, wood. So the choice is yours, how you are going to use foxholes. Anyway, they can be pretty useful. Now let's take a look on the stuff we have. We have a couple of Soviet 447 squads and 2 237 squads. We have 1 crew, which is just fitting for the 1 gun we have, and 2 commanders. Finally, we have a Soviet 816 heavy machine gun, which is probably the best heavy machine gun you can get in this game. Yes, I know, it is pretty heavy because it has 5 portage points, but it has amazing rate of fire of 3, amazing firepower and very good range. And that's not all. It's one of the very few Soviet equipment pieces that can be dismantled. So you don't have to be afraid of these 3 portage points, because you can reduce it to the 3 portage points. But notice the major difference from the German machine guns. You may remember that if you have a German machine gun dismantled, you can still fire with it. But as for this heavy machine gun, when it's dismantled, you cannot fire with it. Even so, and possibility of dismantling this might be quite good. Next we have one. I don't know why I placed two. Light machine gun and two anti-tank rifles. Anti-tank rifles are pretty obsolete at the 1944, and they don't do any good against all these heavy armored German vehicles, but Soviet army used it till the end of the war, sometimes as a sniper rifles, which is pretty interesting. And we get also 5 additional concealment counters, so safe to all our units that can be concealed at the beginning of the game, since there is no enemy at the beginning of the game. Then we have 5 concealment counters that can be used for the purpose of creating some dummy stacks. And finally we have a gun. This is anti-tank gun. Its manhandling number is 10, its caliber is 55, it is very long gun, and its rate of fire is 3. So this might be much better than these 2 old anti-tank rifles. And let's take a look on the other side. It is quick setup gun, so we can move it without much problems. Its repair number is 1, its destruction number is 6, and now we have a table for special ammo. Nothing original, nothing new here. As for Germans, we have a couple of 548 squads. They are mostly used for any airborne German units. They are pretty good. They have firepower of 5. Their range of fire is maybe not amazing, it is just 4. But their morale is impressive, it is 8. They have assault fire ability and spraying fire ability, and their smoke exponent is 2. On the broken side, their morale is also 8. So yes, they are a bunch of good soldiers. We have 3 German commanders, 9-1, 8-1 and 7-0. Well, this 7-0 is going to be used to rally broken troops only, while they provide us some nice modifier. We have 4 light machine guns and 1 Panzerschreck. Panzerschreck is not going to be very useful here because we have no enemy vehicles around, but still it is better than Panzerfaust against enemy in the buildings. Because as you may remember, if we want to use Panzerfaust, we have to make a roll if we can get Panzerfaust. But Panzerschreck is something we always have. And finally, we have 3 German vehicles. So, what do we have here? This is a tracked vehicle because of this round oval around its movement point. It has 13 movement points. It is close-topped vehicle because it is all black without any white parts on the silhouette. It has 75mm long gun with rate of fire of 1. It has bow machine gun with the firepower of 1. It has front armor of 11 and side and rear armor of 3rd, while it has a superior turret. Yes, it sounds weird since it is not non-turreted vehicle, but yes, if you hit its upper part, its armor is 4. Now it is small target because of this white dot here. And now let's take a look on the other side of the vehicle. Oh, maybe one more thing. It has normal ground pressure. Now we have a couple new informations here. It has smoke ammo depletion of 7, high explosive anti-tank of 7, crew survival rate of 4, and armor piercing APDS of 4 in the 1944, and we are fighting in the 1944. Okay, it has Schürzen. Schürzen is a kind of protective equipment which was installed on the sides of the German tanks. Schütze means aprons in English. And how it works. And any hit round hitting the target facing, protected by Schützen, causes doubling of the lower die roll on the resulting to kill die roll. So if it will be hit from the side with hit round, we have to double a lower die roll on the to kill die roll. And finally, it has this special weapon. It is called, let me read because it is weird long German name. It is Nachtverteidigungswaffe. Okay. It allows to place a big smoke counter on the same hex with this tank. Sorry, not tank, but this is tank destroyer to be precise. And to use it, it needs 7 in 1944. So that's all for our Jagdpanzer 4. This is mostly anti-tank vehicle, but it can be used against infantry as well. We have 3 of them, so pretty good. When it comes to the sniper activation number, it is 4 for Soviets and 2 for Germans, so we would rather be afraid of the Soviet sniper than German sniper. And now for the special scenario rules. EC are moist with no wind at start, kindling is non-available. I told about it before. German 447s created through the unit replacement retain assault fire capability. German 447 and 237 battle hardened to 548, 238. So this is something which is easy to forget. Now, Russian 426, 226 battle hardened to 426, 237. Again, we have to remember that if Soviets will be reduced, then they are battle hardened to this unit again, but not for this infamous weak 426. And now, armored fighting vehicle crews may not voluntarily abandon vehicles. Well, this is something we are rarely using, but we have to remember about this. So that's all for now. This is mostly used when a vehicle is hit and it was not destroyed, but the shock of being hit causes the crew to leave its vehicle. So that's all when it comes to the stuff before the game. Let's go to the game itself. And we are going to use only a limited part of the board. It is limited by the I and GG hex rows. So here we have a hex row I, and the hex row G is the eastern hex row of the board. So we won't be using a part of the western part of the board. We are going to place from this hex row. And Soviets are starting in the 6 hexes range from this hex. This is R4 hex. So we have to set them up, and since there are no Germans on the board at the beginning of the game, we can place all our Soviet units concealed. And now, before we will start a setup, let's check for the victory conditions. The Germans win at the game end by controlling all buildings in the 4 hexes range from 17 R4. So, all the buildings from this in the 4 hexes range from this building, from this hex, must be controlled by Germans. So, this building, that building, this building, that building, this building, that building, this building, and 1, 2, 3, 4, no, this building not. So all these buildings must be captured by Germans to win this game. And we have to remember about it when we are going to set up our Soviets. So we don't have to place any of our Soviet units here anywhere, because this part of the board won't be probably a battlefield. All this fight is going to focus on this area, so we have to set up our units in this way to make them much more effective in defending these buildings. There is a chance that Germans won't be will capture some of them, but if we will keep at last one of them in the Soviet hands till the end of the game, then Soviets will be victorious. So here you can see my setup. As for Soviets, I deployed one of the Soviet squads and I placed them like that. So I think I forgot about marking them as concealment, because all of these units are starting concealed, because enemy is physically out of the board, since board for this scenario starts with the hex row E. So my goal is to slow Germans down. I know that I won't be able to keep all this building in my hands till the end of the game, because the Germans will probably capture one or two or three, but the slower it will go, the better. So my goal is to slow them down, to make them fight for each of these buildings. That's why each building is sized by at last one half squad, or mostly squad. And as for my weapons, I have two anti-tank rifles. Well, they are not very good against well-armored units. They could be effective against some armored cars or early war tanks, but not in this part of the war. So my goal is to keep them high, hidden, and to use them when they will have an opportunity to fire at the enemy from behind. That's where they are allowed to do some damage to these Jagdpanzers. And as for backbone of my defense, this is this 57mm anti-tank gun. It is pretty good gun, but again, enemy armored vehicles are quite solid. Their front armor is 11, making them pretty hard to penetrate even with this gun. So all my hopes depend on slowing down enemy advance. As for Germans, I will use my Jagdpanzers as a cover for my infantry. There is a special rule about it that I will talk later during the movement phase, and my goal is to provide some cover for my infantry, so it will be allowed to move closer to the enemy and start fight for this building, maybe even going into close combat, because my squads are pretty strong and they have some good commanders, so maybe I will be able to go into the close combat and to capture some of this building easily. If I will be able to take enemy anti-tank rifles, this will be very good. Now, the biggest threat is this anti-tank gun, especially if it will be able to score any hit from behind, then it will be very, very effective. So, I made another group, including 4 squads and commander, to move through this part of the board using this woods, brush and everything else as a cover, and to take care of this gun as quick as possible. If it will occur, then game will be much more easier. So that's all for my plans. Let's start the game. We are starting turn 1, so I need to make a roll for a weather. I may move my camera a bit because this part of the board is not going to be used anyway. So let's go. 7, no wind change. So any other stuff during the rally phase? I believe no. I believe everything is alright. So we can go into the prep fire phase, and we can skip it as well because German units are out of the board physically, so we don't have much to do. Okay, let's go to the movement phase. I will start with this group. They are moving with a commander, and I will give them double time command, so they will have 8 movement points, which makes them pretty quick. So 1, 2, and now they are in the line of sight of this Soviet squad. This Soviet squad is concealed, so firing at them, which means that it would lose its concealment, and since Soviets have only 4 hexes range, so it would fire with area fire. but it would have -2 because of enemy moving in the open ground and using non-assault movement. So it is a hazard, yes. But I will go with this hazard. So they are losing their concealment, they are firing with 4 -2. Sorry, 2 -2. Okay, we have 4, and this is covering because we got same result on the both dice. So we have so we are moving in the column of 1, and we have 4 -2. So we have 2 in the column of 1. This is 1 MC. Okay, so we have to make a test check for this commander. He made it. Next, for his squad, 8, 4, they made it. And for the other squad, 7, they made it. Oh no, they didn't made it because they are it is 7 + 1, so they are pinned. Okay, so this squad is pinned. We have 1 and first fire. Okay, they had 1, 2, 3, because they continue to move. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's all for them. Now them. They are moving with double time 2, so they have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all for this part of the board. Now let's go here. And here is something that I wanted to tell you about earlier, because this is an interesting thing. You know that Advanced Squad Leader rulebook is pretty huge. That's why I call it Big Scary Book. And there are a lot of rules that you might miss when you are starting to learn this game. Actually, this is one of the rules that I had no idea that even exists. I read about it before, and when I read it, I found it very interesting. Why? It is called Armored Assault. It is in the part 9 of the chapter D, and it is titled Vehicles as Cover, and this is 9.40.31 rule. As you may know, at the 20s or even at 30s, a lot of people found tanks as a kind of sportive weapons. Tanks were meant to protect, to cover, to provide some fire support for the attacking infantry. They weren't meant to perform independent actions. That was a revolution made by Guderian and his Achtung Panzer book, because he found tanks as weapons suitable to perform independent actions. But before this, tanks were meant to perform close cover for the infantry and close support. And this rule allows you to do something like that. How it works? Your infantry must start its movement with armored fighting vehicle. And now, during the movement phase, they are starting to move together as a stack. But there are certain limitations of that because of that. Vehicle cannot spend more movement points than infantry movement factor. So, if they are starting to move now, and this infantry has 4 movement factor, then this vehicle cannot move more than 4 movement points. It doesn't have to move with this infantry through the entire movement phase. They can split, but even so, it cannot move further than 4 movement points. Of course, if infantry goes double time, then it can get more movement points, but still it cannot be higher than infantry movement factor. And as long as infantry moves with such an armored fighting vehicle, it gets +1 TAM, and it is not treated like it would be in the open ground. You can already tell this is pretty good when you are fighting in the open ground and you have some open space to move through and enemy is going to fire at you. That's where your tank or other fighting vehicle like here can be quite effective. And that's what I'm going to do here. So, I will start with this Jagdpanzer, And to do so, I have to put my infantry under the counter. And now we are starting to move. When a vehicle enters a board, it might be in the motion status instantly. It doesn't have to start its engine. It enters the board in the motion status. So I am spending. They are not going to be double timed. So I am moving 1, 2, now I mark them with 2 to remember about it. Where is 2? Here it is. And now anyone can see me or anyone can fire at them. Yes, they are in the line of sight of this gun. Can this gun fire at them? Yes. But if it wants to, nope. Why? Because if you spend 1 movement point in the enemy line of sight, then enemy gets plus 3 modifier for to hit roll. But if you spend more, then this number is reduced. So they want to wait to have a better sight for them, for this vehicle. So 2, 3, gun says no, and 4. And now gun says yes, I am going to fire. They spent 4 movement points, so they cannot move any further because infantry also spent its 4 movement factor, but it is enough for the gun to try to score a hit on them. And that's what this gun is going to do. Okay, let's try to undergo with our first 2-hit attempt in this scenario. So we are targeting a moving vehicle, so we get +2. Next, vehicle spent 3 movement points in our line of sight, so we get +1. So we now have 3. Enemy is a small vehicle. You can see by this white dot under its armor factor. So it is +4 now. Sorry, +5. +5. And we are targeting a vehicle on the range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 5 hits range, so our 2-hit number is 0. We are a very long gun, but on this range we have 0 modifier, and we are we have more than 57 caliber, but it is also 0 for our 2-hit number. Actually, all the 2-hit number modifiers, well, most of them goes in effect if we are firing on the range 13 or more. But as for now, we don't have to care about them. So we have 10 as a 2-hit number and +5 as our die roll modifier. So we need to roll 5 or less to score a hit. It is not going to be easy hit. Oh wow! Okay, we did marvelously. First, we hit because we have 5 and 5. Sorry, we have 4 and 4 plus 5 is 9. So it is less than 10. So the hit is scored. Next, we have 2 on the color die. So we have a rate of fire. We are allowed to place target acquisition marker. And now we have to check if we manage to damage this bastard. We hit the front aspect of the vehicle, because if our line of sight goes to one of these 2 hexes, so it is front aspect. If it will go through here or there, it would be rear or side aspect. We hit the front aspect of this vehicle, and we hit its hull. Why? Look at these 2 die. They are equal. If white would be higher than color, then we would hit a turret or the upper part of the vehicle, because this is turretless vehicle. How it is easy to remember? There is a famous quoting among Advanced Squad Leader players saying, white over red, hit the head. So we score a hit on the hull. So let's check for the hull's armor. It is 11. It is 11, and now we have to check for our to-kill number. We are firing with Soviet 57mm gun, and its to-kill number is 15. So now we have take our to-kill number, which is 15, subtract unit's armor, which is 11, and now we have basic to-kill number, which is 4. We have to get less than 4 to destroy this gun. We have to get 2, half of this to-kill number or less to kill and to burn this vehicle. We have to get 4 to possibly damage this vehicle, and if we get 5 or more, this is a miss. So let's go. Oh, okay, this is a 4, so we managed to damage this vehicle. Now we have to check how. We scored a hit on the hull. This means that it is immobilized. We hit wheels or trucks and something like that. Anywhere it cannot move. So we have to mark it with immobilized. And since it spent only one movement point, we cannot fire again. But since we get a rate of fire, we are not marking this gun with final fire. It is allowed to fire again during this movement phase. Alright, so let's go with these guys. They are doing the same. They are going to do armored assault as well, but they are with commander. Because of that, they have 6 movement factor. So 1, 2, and now let me check. Yeah, this hex was in the line of sight of this gun. This hex too, so they are in the 2 hexes. They spent 2 movement points in my line of sight. 3. Now these are 3 points, and 4. So now I am going to target them. Let me see if I will be able to do so. Now, a vehicle which is on our way works as a hindrance, so I need to check if I don't get a hindrance because of this vehicle. I believe no. I believe no, I don't even have to check. I am certain about it. So I am targeting this Jagdpanzer now. The situation might be the same, but it is not. First I have to count the number of hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I am firing on the range of the 7 hexes, and because of that, my to-hit number is 7. Sorry, is 9. The other things are the same. I have +2 for firing at the enemy who is on the 3 hexes which is moving. So I have +2. Now, enemy spent 4 movement points in my range. So I don't get modifier for spending spending movement points in my range. So I have still +2. He is a small target, so I have +3, +1, so it's +3. So it is +3, and my to-hit number is 9. Okay, another great shot. We got 3, so yes, we still have a rate of fire. I have to remove this target acquisition. It is placed now here, and now I have 3 +3, so it is a 6. So yes, we scored hit on them, and it is 2 is higher or equal than 2, so we scored a hit on the hull. So it is 15 minus 11. So we need again 4 or less to do any damage. It is 4, so we did. So they are also immobilized. Great. Our gun is doing marvelous job. This is a second enemy gun, self-propelled gun, which is immobilized. And we still have a rate of fire. Yeah. That's why this gun has amazing rate of fire. Alright, so that's all for them. They cannot move any further because this gun was stopped. So infantry might move, but gun cannot. It spent 4 movement points and it is moving with a commander, so it might move 2 more. 1, 2, 1. Remember that this we are in October, so grain is not in season. So 1. Anyone is going to fire at them? Nope. And 2. Okay, that's all. And the last. Now them. They are declaring double time, so they will have 6 movement points. And now they are moving. 1, 2, 3, 4. They were in the line of sight of this gun. Here, here, and here. So it is 3. Gun moves. This moves. They declare that they are going to fire at them. Why? Because I think that moving, if they will move here, then this building will block our line of sight. So I have to fire now or never. So I am firing with this gun, and now my range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is 8. So 2-hit number is 9. And now they spent 3. They are moving, so I have +2. There is one vehicle on my line of sight, so it is +1. So because of the hindrance, so it's +3. They spent 3 movement points in my line of sight, so I have +1. So it's +4. And now this is small target, so it's +1. So it's +5. So it's +5, and my 2-hit number is 9. Okay, this is a miss, and we lost our rate of fire. So this counter is placed here, but this gun is marked with final fire. It did quite a good job anyway, immobilizing two self-propelled guns. So we were here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will finish my movement here. And now these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's all for the German movement phase. We don't have much to do either. Now let's go to the Soviet defensive fire phase. Okay. This gun is marked with final fire. It would be allowed to perform intensive fire. Intensive fire comes with +2 additional modifier. It comes with +2 more chance to get your gun damaged. And if you fire it before, during enemy movement phase, you can intensive fire on the adjacent hexes of your gun only. So we cannot do much. They don't have to. They are not allowed to fire because they are already marked with first fire. Them. They still have concealment and they want to keep this concealment. So now they are not going to fire. So none of the Soviet units is going to fire. So that's all for the defensive fire phase. And next we have German advancing fire phase. Well, I will try to perform advancing fire here. What do I have? I have 5. It is halved because of advancing fire phase, and halved again because of concealment. So it is 2.5 and 1 and 1 and 4. And now, because they have assault fire ability, it is 2. It is +1, so it's 2 and 2.5 and 4. So they have 2. They have 2, and now same for them, they have 2, and so they have 4. It is 4 and plus 3 because of stone building, and minus 1 because of the commander. So let's make a roll. 10, a miss, definitely. I don't even have to check. And any other? Well, they have 2. Sorry, they have 5, so it's halved into 2.5. Now we get plus 1 because of the assault fire, so it is 3.5, so it is 4. 4, and they are not even going to use their light machine gun, so it is 4 and plus 2. 6 plus 2 is 8, so it is a miss. And I think that's all for them. Yeah, that's all for the... wait a moment. Now they are CX, so it would be even harder for them to do anything. So that's all for the advancing fire phase. Now I might make some use of these guns, these self-propelled guns, because, well, they are immobilized, so they cannot move anymore during this scenario. If the main armament, special weapon or gun are damaged, they can still be repaired, but if vehicle is immobilized, it is done for good. It can only stand still and fire. If it has a turret, then it can move, but you can see that these are turretless vehicles, so we are forced to fire where they are faced already. They cannot change their covert arc anymore. So I will try to score a hit on this Soviet squad with this Jagdpanzer. This is not going to be easy, because when you are firing during your advance phase, you are firing as bounding fire. But, well, let's try. We have plus 3 because we are non-turreted gun. We have plus 1 because we are buttoned up, and we have plus 2 because enemy is in the building. So we have plus 7, and our 2-hit number is 8. So this is not going to be a successful roll. Well, a roll was pretty good, but still it is... Well, let me check. 3 plus 3 plus 3, it is plus 2, it is 5, plus 3, it is 8. No, this is a miss, but even so, I get target acquisition. So well, it might be more successful next time. And that's all. That's all for the advancing fire. Next we have a road phase. And who's going to road? No one, I believe. I believe all the units are fine. We have no broken squads. So, no, wait, we have to wait. Next we have advance phase. So, they are advancing here. They are advancing there. They are advancing here. They are advancing there. They are advancing here. And they are advancing there. So, and also I will go crew exposed with this gun and the other gun. I mean, they don't have much stuff to do now, because they are immobilized. So at last, let them go crew exposed, so they will have their chance to hit enemy increase. Okay, so that's all for the German advance phase. Yes, we have no close combat, so we can remove this pin marker, and we are moving to the Soviet part of the action. Okay, we have a rally phase, and we don't have any units to rally because everyone is fine. So next we have prep fire phase, and what Soviets are going to do? Of course, they need to take care of them. So I will remove this concealment marker, and I am going to fire with this 6 onto them. So I have 12. Let me check if I will do any good. I have 8. 8 plus nothing. So it oh, they are they have point blank fire. So it is 12. It is 12 against and the roll is 8. 8 in the column of 12 is 1 MC. So German commander, he made it. His unit, they made it, and the other unit, they made it. Okay, so they are fine. That's good for Germans. Let's mark them with prep fire. This squad is firing on them. So it is 4. It is 9, so it is a miss. It is not starting good for Soviets. And now this marvelous gun that did very good work before. And what they are going to target? Any of these vehicles? Well, they cannot see this one because this building blocks line of sight. And as you may remember, there is not a big chance for me to destroy any of them. I might try to hit any of this infantry here, them for example, or try to destroy this vehicle. So I will try to destroy this vehicle anyway. It is not moving anymore, so I don't get any negative modifiers for firing onto the moving target. So I have +1 because it is a small vehicle, but that's all, I believe. Yeah, that's all. I have no other modifiers save to the +1. I have 6 and 2, so no rate of fire sadly. And I have 9, while this is a vehicle target type, so I needed 10. So yes, it is hit. And we hit the hull because we have 6 on the color die, so we need to get 4 or less. Nope, we failed to damage this vehicle this time, and I believe that's all for the Soviet prep fire phase. Yes, that's all. Now we have to go through the Soviet movement phase, but I don't have any Soviet units that would like to move. No, I don't have any. I forgot to place this target acquisition marker here. So next we have a German defensive fire phase. So I will start with this gun, firing back onto this infantry. They are not moving, so this is not going. I'm not going to get any negative modifiers for being moved. I am crew exposed. So yes. Yes, I have no negative modifiers for being immobilized. It is just that I cannot move to change my facing, but there are no negative modifiers because of this counter, which is good. Now I am targeting them, so I have +2 because this is a wood building. Yes, I am right, this is wood building, and this is infantry target type, so I have 8. I have no modifiers for any other stuff, so I need to get 6 or less to score a hit, and I get 6.
I get 5. And sorry, I get 5. It was plus 2 because of because of wood building. So yes, the hit is made. We hit them, and my gun is 75, and 75 gun hits with the number of 12. So we need to make a roll for 12, and we got 7. 7 in the column of 12 is 1 MC. Okay? 11 plus 1 is 12. So Soviets are broken and they suffer quality reduction. So I need to turn them into this absolutely shitty 426 squad. I hate them. And now they are broken. And I can change this this counter into -2. Okay, they were like that. And now this gun, it can fire here, but it will be hard because enemy being concealed. But let us try. First, I am crew exposed, so I don't have to get negative modifier. Now, it is +2 because they are in the foxhole, and +2 because they are concealed. So we have +4, and they are infantry target type, so we need 8 to score this hit. And +4, so we need to roll 4 or less. I got 4, so yes, this is a hit. So, let's make a roll. It is 12 again. Oh wow, this is 3. 3 in the 12, it is K and 3. So they suffer quantity reduction, so they lose their concealment. They are turned into half squad, and now they have to undergo a morale check with the +3. They failed completely. So they also suffer quantity reduction now, and they are turned into 226. That was very bad. So you can see that even if immobilized, these guns are still useful. They are still under the foxhole, so let's mark them with final fire. They should be marked as well. Okay, I have one more gun here, but they are not going to do any fire. So now let's go onto them. First, I will try to score a hit with this Panzerschreck onto this building. Okay, as you probably remember, Panzerschreck has its own 2-hit table on the other side of the counter. We are firing on the 1 hex range, so our 2-hit number is 9. And as for now, let's check for any other modifiers. And we are double timed, so we have +1. Enemy is in the stone building, so it's +3. And that's all. So we have +3, and our 2-hit is 9. Oh, we got 5, so we score a hit. Yes, that's good. Let me check for... Its X number is 10, so we still have this Panzerschreck, which is good. And now we hit them with 12. So let me check. It is 5. 5 in the column of 12. 5 in the column of 12 is 2 MC. Okay, let's do. Oh wow, that's 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. So they are broken and they suffer quality reduction. They are turned into again this useless, shitty 4 to 6 half squad. Okay, so I'm marking them with final fire. And now them. They can fire at them too, but also they might fire one of these units here. And I think I will target this one above. So I have 2, 2.5, 1.5, so it's 4, and 2.5, so I have 6.5, because they are concealed. So I have 6 plus 2 minus 1. So it's 6 plus 1. I got 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 in the column of 6 is Pinterest check. Yes, good. Yes, good. So they have to... Okay, they made it, but they are fine. But since they were forced to undergo a check, they lose their concealment. Not bad. So now we know where at last one anti-tank rifle is. Okay, now them. We have 8, and who I am going to hit? I think them. They are in the wood building, so I have 8 plus 2. It is 9 plus 2, 11, a miss. And now here, they are going to fire onto this hex. They have 5 and 10, but they are firing against the concealed unit. So we have 5, and they are firing on the adjacent hex. So they have still 10. So it's 8 plus 2. We got 5. 5 plus 7, it is plus 2, it is 7. So they have to undergo a morale check with plus 1, and these are dummies, so we have to remove them. A foxhole remains. Next. Oh, I forgot to add plus 1 because they are double timed. Even so, they score a hit. So, now we have 3, 8. Oh, I gave them 2 light machine guns, but by accident. I believe this one it was theirs. So I have 8, and they are concealed, but this is adjacent hex, so I'm firing with 8 plus 2, and this is a miss. I have 12. So also my light machine gun is damaged. Okay, that's all for their defensive fire. And that's all? Yes, that's all? Well, no, they still can fire here. Let me check how much. 5 plus 5. So it is 10 plus 2 minus 1. So it is 8 plus 1, 6. 6 in the column of 8. It is 1 MC. Okay, they made it. That was good. So now that's all. Now we can remove all these first and final fire markers. And now Soviets are going to do their advancing fire. Okay, I think they might try to do advancing fire. Actually, they don't have much to do now because they lost their concealment. So I will try to fire here. I have, 2 and 3. So it is 3. It is halved because of the firing in the advancing fire phase. So I have 1. Not a... Oh my, I also have my ATR damaged. I shouldn't even use it. I forgot that I shouldn't even use it. My mistake. And I think that no one else can fire. Yes, no one else can fire, so we can remove prep fire markers and we can go into the road phase. Okay, who's going to road? They have to, because they have enemy on the adjacent hex. So they are moving here, and now they have to go and interdiction roll. 7. Their morale is 5, so they suffer a reduction. They are reduced into half squad, and they are moved here. Sorry, not like that, because this squad is concealed, and they are definitely not. And now, they don't have any enemy units on the adjacent hex. they too, so they don't have to retreat. Germans, well, I think we have no broken German squads, so that's all for the road phase. Next we have Soviet advance phase, and who is going to advance where? I don't think any Soviet unit is going to advance. Yeah, no advance. So next we have close combat phase, and we have no close combat. So this is the end of turn 1, and now we can check if anyone would like to go under concealment. I think no one. Germans and Soviets have no opportunity to go under concealment, and they don't need it. So that's all for the turn 1.